Well, hello world. Dan Turbyville, and I'm here. It is actually me. This is not a avatar of me like it was last week. That was cool. That was fun. I want to touch on that for just 1 second. But first of all, let me tell you what we're going to talk about this week. So this week, I'm going to teach you how to bid a job. I've seen so many times people go on social media and they say, how much should I charge for this job? Do you think this is too much? Do you think this is too little? Do you think this is enough? How much is this material? All of these questions. And we're going to address that today. But before we get started, we do have some sponsors here. Memphis Fence Company, Simpalo Valguard Strategies Group. And we have a few partners on the show, the Fence News, EZG Manufacturing, and the Thornton Fence Consulting Group. There are links to our partners in the description. Hopefully, there's a link to the Emerging Fence Professional Facebook group, and maybe even one to the Zoom call that's tomorrow at 2 o'clock Central if you choose to join. All right, so there's that. So the AI, I just want to, like I said, touch on that. I just did it because I thought it was fun. It was an interesting experience to see what AI would do if just given free reign, right? So AI created the script. I did give it one prompt and it created the script. I used HeyGen to make the video, and then I used 11 Labs to make the audio. And with HeyGen, I didn't use the nicest model that they have because it only lets you do really short videos. And I wanted to try to get to about 30 minutes long to see what it would do in that setting. And then 11 Labs emailed me after I'd already made the show and was like, hey, your super duper voice model is ready to go. And it was already too late. So maybe, there's some potential for making it a little bit better than I did, but it was interesting. Just to try and see. But like I said, it made the title, description, the whole script, everything. I just tried to give it as little input as possible. So if you missed it, you can go listen to it from last week, and that is all AI. We already talked about what we're talking about this week, so we can breeze on past that. I mentioned the Emerging Fence Professionals. This is a group that I've been a part of. I don't even know how long. Couple of years. It's been kind of off and on a little bit, to be honest with you. And it has been on for all year, for sure. I think about a year. It's been constantly happening, right? We've been having monthly meetings. They're all Zoom calls. And so you just hop on Zoom an hour a month. The meeting is tomorrow at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. Like I said, I think the link's in the description. If not, there is a calendar on the AFA's website where I think you can get the Zoom link. But just come join the meeting, check it out, build your network, get connected with people, because connections and network and all of that thing, they're such a valuable part of this business in general. And there maybe sometimes in today's episode that we talk about using that network and contacting the people that you have connected with. It's amazing to be able to do. I would definitely suggest getting plugged in somewhere. Doesn't have to be there, just somewhere. But yeah, hopefully I'll see some of you at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time on Friday, December 12th. I'll also be at the Purple Coaching, I think it's the annual planning event in January. So if anybody's coming there, I'll see you there. And as always, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for being a part of the fence industry, for tuning into this show, for listening to me, and everything that you do. If you like it, if you want to hear something, if you think it sucks, if you're so tired of hearing me talk, you want to tell me about it, reach out. I'm always here. In fact, there's my phone number right there on the bottom of the screen, 901-878-4987. So if you want to say any of those things, feel free, or leave a review. If you like it, share it with a friend. That's cool too. Our Make-A-Wish donation thing is still in the description too. And just as a reminder, this show is on all major podcast platforms if you want to listen to the audio while you're driving around. We we've been doing some cool stuff on the Memphis Fence and Paul or Memphis Fence social media stuff. So if you're interested in seeing what we've been doing, you can check it out. I think it's pretty cool. I'm happy with some of the content that's been going out there here recently, and you might be too. Okay, done with all of that. Let's get into the show. Like I told you, I've seen the same post over and over again on social media, right? Where somebody will go in there and they say, hey, look at this one screenshot or listen to this one sentence worth of information that I'm going to give you. And then I want you to tell me how much this job should cost. Am I charging too much? Am I not charging enough? How much would you charge? What do I need to do? I want to sell the job. Tell me how much it should be. It's so crazy. It drives me insane, right? Seeing that stuff. First of all, nobody has enough information to actually do what you're asking them to do. Okay. Like we can't take one screenshot in one sentence and turn it into a bid. Imagine if somebody sent you a one sentence text message and asked you to bid a job from that. Like that's crazy. So I decided I would take a little bit of time today and I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to teach everybody how you bid a job. That's it. Super simple, high level, very basic how you bid a job. I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions. I even have step numbers. And this is an exact method that I would use to bid a job. Okay. I'm not going to give you numbers. So we're not going to talk margins, price, cost, anything like that. No numbers are going to be included in here. It's all conceptual, but that is the point because the numbers that work for me are not right for you. And the numbers that work for the people down the street from you are not going to be right for you. You have to have your own numbers. Okay. You can write that down. You have to have your own number. Step one is to, anybody guess it? I'm going to give you a second. Step one is know your overhead. In case you haven't been around here, in case you've never listened to the Powerhouse Fence Show before, know your overhead. Okay, so what is your overhead? Well, man, I'm so glad you asked. So overhead is everything that is not a direct cost to a job. All right, I'm talking like your general insurance stuff, general liability, auto insurance, things like that. Those don't go directly to a job. Those are overhead. Okay, your electric bill. You have a shop, an office, something like you pay for electricity. That's overhead. You go do maintenance on your truck. Right? Not, I didn't say the cost of the truck. I said the maintenance on the truck. Cost of the truck goes in there through depreciation. But anyway, the cost, the maintenance on the truck, the fuel in the truck, like you bought some tires for your trailer. You have, somebody that answers the phone. You have someone that goes out and sells jobs, whatever that is. When you're paying those type of people that are not directly working on a single job, those go into overhead. Okay. Your property taxes. Is your business on property? Does your business pay personal property tax? All of that goes in overhead. Okay. So you get it. Anything that's not directly to a job. And it's a pretty broad statement. Okay. So anyone out there who's like, oh, this guy's an idiot, I understand it's a pretty broad statement. I told you this was going to be high level. So just get your panties out of a bunch for a minute. All right. So you really need to know your overhead to bid a job. So how do you figure out your overhead? I'm so glad you asked that too. I thought you'd never ask actually. So it's pretty simple. You do some math, right? Or use some accounting software. Man, QuickBooks is so cheap. And yeah, sure, it takes some time to get it set up and get it going. And oh my goodness, guess what? It's December 11th right now. Go get it, have it set up. January 1st, start putting stuff in there. You don't have to go back to the beginning of time. Just fix it going forward. Okay. It's a great time to do this. And it, like I said, it's so cheap. And what you pay for QuickBooks, that goes in your overhead too. If you can't afford QuickBooks, do it manually in Excel. If you can't afford Excel, do it manually on a piece of paper. If you can't afford a piece of paper, go out and find you a nice clean patch of dirt and scratch it in the dirt. There is no excuse why we're not all tracking our overhead. And I don't mean you're digging all the way deep, deep, deep down in there, right? You don't have to have 60 expense accounts set up, but at least get 10 or 15 or whatever that minimum you're comfortable with. Get to that point, start tracking it, and go do it. Ah, okay, really, you should be job costing, right? But if you're not, that's cool. At least be tracking your overhead. And over the years, over time, you can progress and you can get deeper and deeper and deeper, and you can get the data out that you want. So what happened to me is I had no idea what I was doing when I bought this place. I knew the accounting there wasn't the accounting system that was in place when I bought it. I knew it was a mess. Right. It was like, honestly, if you wanted, it was a lot of stuff on paper. Right. I told you do it manually on a piece of paper. There was a lot of that stuff going on here when I bought this company in 2013. And I knew immediately, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to have accounting software in place. I didn't know diddly squat. I didn't even know QuickBooks existed. And we did. We got it set up. My father-in-law was a career accountant. My wife went to school. She also went to be an accountant or whatever. I said that terribly. So I had help, right? And the reason I had help was because I had connections with people and I had a network. That's how I got that help. I couldn't afford to go out and hire some accountant or some CPA to come in here and set it up for me. But I used my network and used my connections. We got it done. We got it rolling. All right. So then over the years, we progressed and progressed and progressed. And I don't know how many expense accounts we have in our overhead now, but I bet we have 60 or 80, right? Like it's dialed in pretty well. We get really deep in tracking cost exactly where they go. And we do job costing, we do all of those things, right? But that didn't happen overnight. In fact, I went back and looked at some labor from the very beginning and it wasn't costed to anything. It was like the person worked for a week and their labor went and cost of goods sold, right? It wasn't even like we weren't even really doing any high level job costing immediately. We did get there within the first few months and kind of got that dialed in a little bit, but it took us years to get it where I wanted. So what I was going to say is what happened, we started getting into there and I thought, man, it sure be cool to know this. Right. And then we changed the way we did our accounting stuff so that I could know that. And then that would come up again and again and again and again. And it just kept leading to more and more complexity. Right. It's not complicated. It's just complex. So that's what led us to where we are, is just because I realized what data I could get out. I learned more. I grew. I became more familiar with the way accounting works. And I said, I want this data out of here. This is what we need to put in for me to get that data out. And here we are. So anyway, I'm going to leave that dead horse alone for a little bit. No promises. I won't mention it again, but know your overhead. Step one. Okay. Now let's get to step two. So we're actually going to bid a job, right? And we're going to skip the whole marketing thing and all of that stuff. Like that's not what this is about. Step two, we're going to analyze a job. Spend the time you need to look at the job. Okay. And that the time you need, whatever that is that 30 minutes or is that 30 hours? Whatever that time is that you need to look at it to get to the point we're going to get to in this episode, spend that time. That time's not the same for me as it is for you. The time's not the same for the folks down the street as it is for you. It's whatever it needs to be for you is the right amount of time. Okay. So don't go out there and say, oh man, it took me 17 hours to bid this 300-foot job. So good. You know how much you learned in that 17 hours about bidding a job? Now, the next time you do it, it's going to take you 15 hours, right? And then before you know it, you're going to be able to do it in 1 hour, right? Good. So spend the time that you need to do it and do it well. And it's not the same for any two people. Oh man, I'm all ready. Whew. All right. You do what you need to do to understand. If you don't understand the job, maybe you don't bid it. All right. But if you don't understand, maybe you can find someone to help you. You can use your network. You can use your connections. Find someone to help you. So, do some research. Ask questions. People don't want to ask questions because they don't want to seem stupid, right? Who freaking cares? I'd rather ask all the stupid questions than not ask any questions and go bankrupt because I was too prideful to ask a question. So go ask the stupid questions. My phone number's on the bottom of the screen. You're more than welcome to call me. Call somebody. Do something, right? AI is like, oh yeah, I'll just go ask ChatGPT. Just be careful. It will lie to you. So I'm not saying it doesn't work, right? It obviously works. I use it. It's great, but you just got to understand that it will lie to you. So just make sure you do that properly if that's the path you're going to take. So again, if you don't understand the job, find somebody to help you, do some research, ask some questions, whatever you need to do. Seems stupid if that's what it takes, right? Because that's better. That's better than just not asking. So again, do whatever you need to do to understand the job, or don't understand the job and just move on. Right? Not every job is right for everyone. Sometimes we have to walk away, sometimes we have to say no. And when you have a complete understanding of the job, you understand all the ins and outs and what it would take to do that job. You understand your overhead. You have an overhead percentage of your revenue. You understand what that is. Now you're ready to get started on bidding the job. Okay. Step 1, know your overhead. Step 2, know the job. Step 3, I held up 2 fingers. What a dodo. Step 3, cost of goods sold. Oh, you don't know what that is? That good. I'm glad you asked. Right? Remember your overhead? Well, cost of goods sold is kind of like the opposite of overhead, right? Not everything fits in one of those 2 categories. I understand, but for high level purposes, let's just say it's kind of like the opposite. So this is everything that is indeed directly allocated to a specific job. That includes material, labor, travel cost, equipment rental, any kind of special insurance that you have to have for a specific job. You have to do any training for that job, right? The cost of the training plus the cost of paying people to go to the training. Do you have to be drug tested? Well, now you have the cost of the drug testing plus the cost of sending people to be drug tested and, all of that. Don't forget, those people who are going to be drug tested would be doing a job during that time, right? So allocate all of those costs. That all is going into your cost of goods sold. So let's talk material for a minute. Oh, don't guess. Don't guess that the materials, yeah, that's about $12 a foot. Come on. Just do the work. Are you too busy to do it? Well, good. That's good. Now solve that problem and then come back and do the work. Okay? Don't guess. Get a quote from a supplier. You can figure out some system. If you don't want to go to a supplier for every single quote, figure out a system where you get regular prices and then use that recent quote from a supplier. You can go through, you can build a quote and put all of the things that you regularly use on there. And then you can go back and say, hey, can you update quote number 1, 2, 3, 4? Right? Ask them every month, every 2 weeks. I mean, that all depends on the volatility of the market, but ask them however often that takes and get the quote updated. Now you have costs that you can use. Okay. If you want to do it that way, great. If you want to bid jobs at 2 o'clock in the morning, well, that's probably the way you need to do it, right? You're not going to get an answer from a supplier at that point. If you don't want to bid jobs at 2 in the morning and you are cool with sending everyone to a supplier, then do that. You always have something to fall back on and you know that your costs are current. And it's that thing will bite you. You bid a job based on some prices from, 3 months ago or 6 months ago or whatever that is. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I was 20% off. Well, if it's $200, it's not a big deal. But if it's 200,000, now you got a problem. So by recent, I mean recent. Don't use that crap from 3 months ago. Get something because it's more recent. You know what? They call this stuff work because it is work. So we got to do it. Things aren't easy. Things don't just fall in our lap miraculously, right? We have to put in the effort. Now it's time for a drink. I certainly appreciate your patience. Again, with the material, spend enough time here, whatever it takes for you. Like I said, it's not the same for you as it is for the other people. Don't look at them and say, man, why am I too slow? Why am I not good enough at this? Who freaking cares what they're doing? Right? How do you know they're even doing it right? Maybe they're screwing up half of it. Maybe they're guessing it's $12 a foot and just writing some stuff on a piece of paper, making it look like they're doing something. Who cares? You do you. Do it right. Do it. However long it takes you is how long it takes you. Okay. So I personally believe you need an accurate material list. In order to get an accurate cost, we have to start with an accurate material list. Guessing on this stuff will bite you in the butt. So look for some, sneaky hidden things, right? Does the material have to be domestic? Hmm. We frequently face this issue when we bid jobs that are black vinyl chain link and we ask for domestic Schedule 40 with a black vinyl coating, and our suppliers will call us. And I promise you, within the past month, I got a phone call that said, "We've not sold black vinyl coated domestic Schedule 40 to any person in the Southeast United States within the past 3 years, other than you on the last job that you did that had it." Right? That's really crazy because the specs call for it. So, did you read the specs? You know what's amazing to me? None of this is meant to be punishing, okay? And this is not either. But do you know the difference between 40 weight and Schedule 40? Because there is a difference. They are not one and the same. Okay? Do your research. I like to give people the Master Halco catalog. I referred someone to that just yesterday. I think it's a fantastic resource. It is on their website, no login, no nothing, free to everyone to use. And it has so much information in it. You got to spend the time, you got to look through it, you got to understand what you're looking at. But man, there is so much data in that Master Halco catalog. It's the best one that I've ran across. Maybe there's others out there like it, but it's good. It's big. It's a lot of information in there, but I think it's great. So if you go to their website, I think there's a tab at the top called resources, and the catalog is somewhere in there. You can check it out. Has a lot of stuff. So I have a really high regard for our suppliers, right? I know I've done episodes in the past. Treat your suppliers like they're a part of your team, the same as you do everybody else. Have respect for them, treat them well, all of these things, right? So I have a high regard for our suppliers. We've got someone new in the office. I was helping them with, they've kind of been working through getting their feet underneath them on bidding jobs and stuff like that. And they got a quote from a supplier, and there was, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 items that were left off the list. Now, when we bid a job, we use Simpalo to calculate a material list for the job. So it has everything on it. We send it to the supplier and they still leave stuff off, right? We have to go back every single time and verify that all the items are there, all the right sizes, the right coatings, the right gauges, all of this stuff. So we do a quick run through of the quote from them every single time because they forget things, right? We're all human. We all forget things. And it terrifies me to think about how many people are bidding jobs by sending a picture of a bar napkin to a supplier that has a drawing on it and saying, "Hey, can you quote this material for me?" It's terrifying. If we're sending a exact list of everything that we want and they're getting it wrong, man, I'd hate to think about how much stuff people get wrong like that. So terrifies me. You do you, right? Do the thing that works for you. So we send a list, we check the list. And again, we want to make sure that we're bidding the right material. So we read the plans, we read the specs, we understand them. Okay, that's the key part of that is understanding, because a lot of times what we want to do is we're rushing, right? Oh man, I'm in a hurry. And we see some words in there and we're like, I don't know what that friggin' means, but I recognize this one over here, so I'm going to roll with that. Well, that's not really the right way to do stuff, is it? Shouldn't we understand the entire thing? Because when we get a contract, it says that we agree to the entire thing. Why would we not spend the time right now reading it and doing the research and making sure we understand what we're agreeing to? Just spend the time, look it up, right? If you look it up a few times, you do the research on it a few times, you're going to eventually remember what it is, and then you don't have to do it anymore. So read the plans and specs and understand what they are. Now, that question I see going out to social media, I don't know how I feel about that, right? You see people send screenshots of plans and specs and things like that out there. Yes, ask your network, ask your connections. Just be careful who you ask. Make sure you're asking the people that know the answer, right? Because you can skim through those comments and look at them and you're going to get multiple versions of answers. different answers. So be careful about who you're asking. Make sure that they know what they're doing. So send the list, check the list, make sure the material's right, make sure we understand the specs. Look it up if we don't understand, ask questions, all of these things. It is a perfect opportunity to learn something. And I assume since you're here listening to me right now, you're probably not entirely opposed to learning a new thing. So go learn it there. All right, go do a little bit of work. All right, let's talk about labor. Don't forget to check for wage rates. We recently encountered this situation and we called it before the job went out to bid, but I will tell you it was a significant omission initially, right? We didn't bid it without the wage rate stuff in there, but if we had of, it would have been a bad day. We called it before we sent it out. Everything's okay. But make sure you check for that stuff, right? Does the job have special insurance coverage? If you're bidding to a general contractor, obviously, like, and there are specs and plans and all that stuff. But does it have special insurance coverage? Does it have to be domestic? Are there wage rates on the job? Like all of these things. Is there a schedule? What are the safety requirements? What are the drug test requirements? What are the training requirements? Like these are the things that you got to know. And a lot of people want to just go straight to the specs for the fence and you skip all the other stuff, right? Like, yeah, sure, the specs for the fence are important, but the other things are important too. So spend the time that you need to do it right. Don't skip the stuff. Don't rush through the stuff. Oh man, I'm going to bid 10 jobs this week. It's not that good if you're bidding 10 wrong. I'd rather you bid 2 right than bid 10 wrong. So spend the time, read it, learn it. Let's talk about labor. We already did. We talked about wage rates. I'm going backwards there. So even if you're using subs, you need to know about wage rates. That's another bridge to cross. Whenever they say, hey, you got to pay this certified, or you got to pay these wage rates, you got to turn in certified payroll, you got to do all of these things, and you have nothing but subcontractors, there's a bridge to cross, right? You got to figure out how you're going to handle that. So guess what I'm going to say right now? Guess what I'm going to tell you about the labor? Yeah, you got it. Spend enough time here and get the answer right. So what I like to do, anytime I bid a job, I like to think through the entire process. And again, the amount of time this takes you is all up to you. Whatever the time is, it's right. Who cares? It's right. So I like to think through the entire process and I like to think through yeah, sure. There's a lot of obvious stuff, right? Like the actual installation of the job and the travel to the job site and cleaning up and things like that all have to be accounted for in the labor. But I like to, do you look at the grade? Right? If you got a full plan set, the grade is in there somewhere. How often do you go look at that? Right? Because have you ever been to a job site and you got out there and you needed like 30 extra terminal posts because of how crazy the grade was? Well, I have. Right. And so now I make it a point to look at the grade and make sure that we have all the terminal posts in there that we need. Right. There's a million little things like that. You just got to think through the entire process. Check out the grade. How far away from the fence can we park? If you follow our social media stuff, you'll probably have seen some videos here in the last month or so of us doing a job that was like over the river and through the woods kind of crap out in the middle of the forest. And I mean, we had to haul all the material in there with the side by side, and it was, I don't know, I think 4, 5, 6,000 feet of fence out through the woods, and you are not getting a truck anywhere in there. Right. So when we bid the job, we have to understand that we can't drive a truck down the fence line. And I went back and looked at the job again, here within the past few weeks, I went back and looked at the plans, and you know what it was? It was a single line of fence going across a white piece of paper. That's it. And like, if you didn't, I think we actually found out about the grade and saw the forest and all this crap because we just checked it out on Google Earth. But I don't think it was actually even in the plans. I don't think that anyone ever surveyed the back 40 where the fence went on that job. But again, we did it. We spent the time and we got it right. Thank goodness. Because if we didn't, if we thought we were going to just go out there and rock that fence and then we got stuck in all that crap, oh my goodness. But think through those little things. Make sure you understand the job site and the working conditions and the schedule. Are you going to be out there in the middle of winter? It's wet, it's snow on the ground, it's freezing, it's all of this stuff. Or is it going to be when the weather's nice? Like all of that plays a part in how much labor it's going to take. Right. Again, how close can you get? Right. Because if you're putting a fence on top of a levee and you have to park at the bottom of the levee and carry all the material up, that sucks. And you got to charge for it. So spend the time. Get it right. Man, I'm just going to get that tattooed on my arm so I can just hold it up. So think about the things that aren't so obvious, right? If a job has to be core drilled, I frequently wonder how many people even include this because it doesn't specifically say on the plans, core drill these holes. It's going in concrete, right? But if you got a core drill, well, somebody's got to go out there and lay out the holes for assuming you're going to subcontract the core drilling part, right? If you're going to do it yourself, that's a different story. But if you're going to sub out the core drill stuff, you got to go out there and lay out the holes. Even if the general contractor is doing the core drilling for you, you probably have to go lay out the holes. You got to go stage material, right? Maybe you don't have a yard. Maybe the material is getting delivered directly to the job site. Well, someone is going to have to go out there and unload that material or check it in or sign for it or something, right? We talked about the drug testing and the training, right? You're going to spend time doing those things. You got to go pick up material. Again, you're spending time doing that stuff, right? So think through the process of installing the job. Don't just think about set and post, stretch and wire. Think about the entire thing. Think about getting to the job site, getting the material from the truck to where it needs to go, right? It's a whole process. Think about that. Okay, so Merriam-Webster's definition of estimate, right? Because that's what we're doing, right? We're creating an estimate is to judge tentatively or approximately the value, worth, or significance of, definition one. Number two, to determine roughly the size, extent, or nature of. Number three, to produce a statement of the approximate cost of. Okay, it does not say to figure out exactly. It uses these words, tentatively, approximately, roughly, approximate. Those words are all through there. But don't be lazy. Don't be sloppy. But don't be stuck on absolute perfection either, right? You got to be somewhere in between. So I had this conversation today and I said, here's what I want. I want you to be as perfect as feasible, right? Just spend a minute, digest that thing, and I'll have a sip of tea. Be perfect as feasible. I like that. There's some stuff that, man, it just takes too much time, right? It takes more time to figure out exactly than what it's worth. But there's a lot of things that we're just lazy and sloppy and we skip. All right, so let's recap these steps again real quick. We had overhead was step one. And then step two, we had to analyze the job. And in step two, we need to make sure it's a good fit for us, right? We understand enough about what we're doing. We're competent enough to bid the job. Competent maybe isn't the right word, right? We're experienced enough to bid the job. Step three was cost of goods sold. Now, anyone got a guess on step four? Right? Because we have material, we have labor. Now we're going to apply a margin. So the first time that I changed my outlook on the world, okay, it changed my perception of reality when I was listening to the contractor fight, and he said, "Oh yeah, I just figure out my cost of goods sold, and then what do you say? Multiply by 2." And I will tell you, before that, I had this insane spreadsheet that had all these crazy, I don't even know where they came from, calculations that somehow I just figured out and it made it work. And I was getting to the end result the same, but it was not the right way, right? Or what I believe to be the right way now. It wasn't the method of cost of goods sold, margin, there's your price, right? It was crazy. So once I heard that, I think I was on the way to work. I went in my office, I sat down and I rebuilt a spreadsheet starting right then. I had to figure out how to do it, right? I had to put a little bit of work into it, but I rebuilt the whole thing right there and it changed my perception of reality. It was insane. And I remember thinking, man, that's so simple. And yet I've been doing all of this stupid, crazy stuff. And that's been, I don't know, a few years ago. And I'm still grinning about it, right? Because it just makes so much sense, and I felt like such a dum dum because I didn't ever realize that. But yeah, so that's how you do it. Okay, so we add up all the cost of goods sold, and again, don't forget the sneaky things. Are you going to pay for some freight to get some material delivered to you? Right? You got some DTEX panic bars going on there, or whatever. You're going to have to pay freight to get them to you, probably. pay tax on material. Wage rates we've talked about, domestic material we've talked about, like all of the little things, right? You're conducting this orchestra that is 1,000 moving parts, and they fit all together to make that piece of music, right? And if they don't come together just right, that music does not sound right. So conduct everything, bring it all together. Now, we remember all those sneaky little things that are hidden between the cracks, in the cracks, whatever. So now we add it all up. We got it all right. So that's our cost of goods sold. We know our overhead, right? Because we did that in step one. Now, the only missing piece of it is, what profit do you need? Yeah, need, not want. Okay. Because you got to have profit. You got to have profit for your business to survive. You got to cover the mistakes that people make. You got to allow for some growth. You want some sort of lifestyle, right? You might want to do something nice for somebody around this time of year, like whatever that is, right? You need profit. So figure out what that profit is that you need. So your overhead plus the profit you need. Hey, now we're getting pretty close to a margin that we can work with. Okay. So pretty simple. When you have all the data and you understand the way that it works, it's not that complicated, right? Material, labor, margin. Boom, done. Well, that's very simplified, right? But you get the point. So you want to apply margin, look up the calculation. I'm not going to try to explain that like this, but look up the calculation for it. Margin calculation. Do not confuse markup and margin. They are two different things. So when you add your overhead and you add your profit, that's a margin. You need to make sure you work in margins. Change the vocabulary of every person in your organization to be standardized. Do not let people confuse those two words. Make them all say the right word, right? Margin, 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 margin. Markup is a different thing, and markup is used sometimes. You want to put a little markup on your material to cover escalations that might happen over the course of the next 6 months. There you go, right? That's a markup. You want to put a little markup on your labor for the same thing. You want to put a little markup on equipment rental because you know everything is going to be more expensive 2 years from now, whenever it is that you're actually doing the job. And we know it's 2 years from now because we spent enough time and we looked at the schedule. So markup is a necessary piece of this. Margin is the one we're talking about now. Everyone's good. Cost of goods sold, margin, price. So now, man, that's so cool, isn't it? Isn't that cool? Right? For those of you who are doing it now, you're like, oh yeah, I got this. And if you're not doing it now, that's cool too. That's great. I'm really excited, right? Because somebody out there is not doing it now. And I really hope that you listen to this thing and you make that your goal, right? That is your 2026 goal, is to have a handle on your overhead and to bid jobs the right way. Don't go ask your barber, right? Don't go ask your waiter on Saturday when you go out to dinner. You know how to bid the job. Do it the right way. That's cool. Now, obviously, let me just throw a little bit of closing stuff right here. There's a million variables on every job, and my intention was not to touch every variable, right? Accounting principles are significantly more complicated than what we just talked about, and jobs are more complicated, right? But hey, we don't have a week, we don't have a month, right? We have this 1 hour episode. And I don't know how many of these episodes that I've done, but I imagine there's at least 100 of them. And so there's at least 100 hours of content that you can consume if you want to learn more. Uh, Look at the titles, right? Look at the descriptions, find something that seems like it means something to you and go listen to it. If you have any questions, I promise you, I want you to call me. Normally, people share their phone number whenever they're giving you consent to call them. That is the case right now. The phone number's there. If you need to call me, you feel free. Maybe you have some good questions that maybe I could use for content here and might help somebody else, right? All right. So again, back to the closing piece. There's a million variables. Like I said, spend the time, actually understand every step of the way. Don't rush. Don't overextend yourself. right? If you don't have time to bid the job and sit down and spend the time doing it, then don't do it. Maybe, right? Maybe it's not the right job for you. Maybe it's not the right time for you to bid that job. That's okay. That's okay, right? You can get an understanding of the job. You can get an accurate cost of goods sold, and you can get an accurate price to give to your customer, and you can do it all on your own. Just be careful out there and go do it. Learn a thing or two and then do a thing or two. And that's it for me. I'm out of here. I'll see y'all next week.